Hey, hi friends, I'm Jitendra. Today we will going to see how to synchronize a data between database and your SaaS application. So today we will going to see your Google Contact API. So how you can like synchronize your contact from database to Google Contacts. Okay, so for that we will start with a demonstration. We will require various things. So I'm going to show you everything. File, new Mule project. I will say DB Google Sync app. For runtime, keep it 3.8. Rest of in your environment, there can be a multiple runtime. You can select depending on your requirement. Rest of the setting, I am not going to touch. I will say finish. Okay. As you know that, like when we are going to connect Google API, we require O authentication too. So for that, we will require the secret ID and secret key that we can copy from Google API Manager. Other thing, when we send a secret key and the secret ID for authorization, we get a token ID back. So we will going to store that token ID into the object store because the token ID expires in the 2 hours. So it's better we will store in object store, and every 2 hours we will going to generate a new token ID. In second flow, we will going to use that token ID, okay, and we will send the actual request where we will sync the Google contact with the database contact, and there will be one more flow which will fetch the records from the Google contact. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so what I will do first, I will drag and drop HTTP listener into canvas region. So I will do the connector configuration. I will keep all setting as it is. Second, I will say authorize method, no need of defining any method. Now I will put one logger where I will say author authorization initialized. Fine. Now third, what I will do, I will drag and drop a Google contact connector. So basically, if you don't find Google contact connector in your Mule palette, you can download it from Exchange. So I have shown in one of my previous video. Okay, so we will do config. We will go into click on this config reference. We will first click on this add button. We require consumer key and consumer secret. So you have to go to the API manager. You go to credentials. Okay, you go to credentials. Then okay, you can go to CG client, and here I will copy my credential client ID. I will paste it here. Now I will copy secret. I will paste it here. Okay, this what you have to do for authorization. There is one more thing you have to do. I forget. You have to define OAuth. So you have to define the domain. I will say localhost. Okay, port I will say 3000. 3000. Make sure you are adding the path which is available in your API manager, which is allowed in your authorized redirect URL. So I will use like any one of them. Either you can add new, or either you can use one which is configure. So I will say contact OAuth. So I will say contact OAuth. Okay, and now I will say okay. I put one object store to store our token ID. Okay, let me find out the object store. This is my object store. Here I will select the operation. First I will create a connector configuration. I will give a partition name equals to contacts. I will give a detail 120 expiration interval. I can give around 36,000. Okay, more than that, max entries I can say 6,000. So it was saying like your object store can expire in this at this time after 36 3,60,000, and if there's an entry max entry is 6,000, so your object store will get expired. I will say persistent. Okay, now operation, you have to select the operation. So I will say store. So what you have to store, I will say access token ID. So value reference. So like this is the flowers or access token ID. Okay, when Google Contact API, okay, we get a token ID back, it store in the OAuth access token ID flow variable. Okay. Now finally I will say logger. I will say you are authorized. Fine. Or I will also say set payload. No need of that. Let me start the application. We will go step by step. First, let me test this flow. See, this is my Google contact. Okay. Let's wait. Application is deploying. It may take some time. Okay, it has deployed. Now let me go to the browser. I will say HTTP localhost. I will say authorize. Authorization initialized. Let's wait. It was saying you are authorized. So our this first process is perfect. Let me go to logger again. Now we will have one second flow where we will use the ETL process. So let me drag and drop batch. This is the batch. In input we will use poll. Then I will use database connector. I will put inside the poll. Okay. Let me go to database connector. We have to do some connection configuration. Click on this add button. Before that, what we have to do, we have to add one dependency file. I will say build path, configure build path, add external jars. So not MySQL one. You have to add the SQL jar, SQL JDBC jar. Let me wait. This is one. Say OK. Now you go to add. Select generic database because we are using Microsoft SQL database. Now you have to provide the URL. So I have already URL there. So you have to provide this JDBC URL, server name, port number, database name, username and password. Fine, not here. You have to provide it here. Then we have to provide a driver class name. This is my driver class name. This driver class name is fixed. And you can do test connection. Okay, test is successful. Now say OK. Now what is the operation you have to select? I will say select. Okay, what do you want to select? I will say select top one star from, let me see the table name, it's contacts, but we want to fetch only a unique record. So for that we have to enable the watermark. Go to poll. I will say not frequency, not should be 1 second. I will say frequency should be 30 seconds. 1 second is much more. So 30,000 millisecond. Now I will enable my watermark to pick the unique record. Then I will say select. So what you will say, max. Now what is the selected expression? I will say has payload dot, this is the ID. See, it's automatically came here. Now, okay, and you have to give a variable name. What should be a variable name? And you have to give a default expression. I will say default expression is 0 and variable name max ID. Right? So this is a variable name, and we say current value should be, it should be greater than 0. So here what we can do in a select query, we can say where ID is greater than flow vars dot max ID. So we are saying First, we are storing the ID from the input message into the flow variable max ID, and we are saying where ID is greater than flow vars dot max ID. So it will always pick the unique record. Now we have to define some batch store. The first thing we have to read the object store. We have to read the token ID from the previous flow. We have stored in the object store, so we can read it here. So let me find out the object connector. This is my object store connector. Okay. So now this time we will say retry. It will ask for key. Okay. So what is the key? It's access token ID. Okay. But we have to use this token ID into the Google Contact Connector when we're going to send or insert the record into a contact. But we cannot directly read using access token ID. We require some flow variable or some variable. So what we can do, we can enrich that message using message enricher. Right click, object store, say wrap in message enricher. Okay, go to message enricher, and you can say flow vars. Wait, you can say has flow vars and comma. I can say enrich token ID. Okay, okay, this is one you have done. Now before that, I have to transform the message also. First we will use Google Contacts Connector. I will drag and drop Google Contact Connector. Okay, now we will, if you see here, everything is already there, so we don't have to set it again. It has picked from the previous setting. Just we have to change the operation. I will say insert contact. Fine. Now you need to drag and drop transform message. Here you can see the or automatically you can see the metadata. Here you can see email ID, label, ID name. That is from your database. Fine. Now we will start doing the transform message. I already have a code with me. See what I'm doing, contact payload. I was just reading from the input and we are setting into the output. Let me paste it here, then I can explain you. See, I was saying context, payload map. What I'm saying, payload map. This is payload map name dollar full name. So we have a various field available. 1 minute, I will show you. This is full name. So we are mapping this name with this full name. Fine. Same thing, we have a email addresses. We have a email addresses. So we are mapping all email ID and in this, and also like phone number, anything. So let me do one thing. It's better remove this all mapping. Okay. Or what we can do, just remove all this. Okay, we have to insert. Okay, so simply we can do one-to-one mapping. So you will also understand. So we have to email ID. So we have to map with address. Just again drag and drop on address. Okay. Okay. Just let me remove map once again. Okay, let map 1 minute. We have to do the mapping. Just let me minimize everything, otherwise it become a bit tough. So email address we have to map with address. Okay. Other thing, label. So we have to map label with this label under email addresses. Now name. So look for full name. Okay, this is full name. So name goes to full name. Okay, this is how you can do the mapping. Right. Now we have done with the mapping, and this is Google Contacts. We have done. Now finally, I will say set payload. Here I can say data synchronized successfully. Right? And finally, I will set logger. It will give all history like how many record has been processed, how many record has been filled. Now, on last flow we required. So here I will not use batch. Here I will use HTTP. I'm going to configure it. I will say fetch. Here I will say get. Now I will fetch Google contact. Go to Google contact. One thing we have forget here. Okay, go to message enricher. So you store your flow variable. Okay, just copy this and you have to pass a token. I have told that in second request we have to pass a token. You can pass it here. Right? Again, we will require this object store here to read the value. So we will do same thing. So first message enricher. Let me. Okay. Now use object store. Let me wait. This is object, not object store. We require object store only. Sorry. Go to object store. If you give settings already is there, instead of like just we want to use retry. Okay, and key just copy. Let me copy the key. Is better to copy paste. Otherwise we do mistakes. This is access token ID. I will go there. I will select access token ID. Now for enricher here I will give some different name here. I will say enricher token ID 1. I will copy this. Go to Google contact. Under connection I will give this token ID again. Fine. I will go to general settings. This time we have to use get context. Okay, that's we have to do. And finally, I want a transform message. I will drag and wait. Sorry for that. Let's wait. It's getting a bit slow. I have to remove this. So now if you see, you can see the output schema already or output metadata here. Now we have to define input metadata or directly you can map it. So I have a code for this. I will copy it. Now I say control V. Okay. Here we are generating some code from input metadata. So we are reading some of the field instead of all the field. So like contact, under contact we have an email address, a phone number like that. Fine. So this is we have a 3 flow. Let me explain you once again. First flow we will going to generate a token ID and we will store in an object store. In second flow we will add the records contact record into the database and it will get synchronized with Google Contact API. And finally we have a one HTTP get method where we will get the contact from the Google Contact API, Google Contacts. So basically, in first we are storing the object token ID using object store. In second, we are reading the token ID and we are reading the message enricher. In third, also we are reading the object store value and we storing the message enricher. This is how we have developed the flow. Now let me stop the application and start again. I will say okay. Let keep the eye on the watcher. Let's wait. Application is deploying. Okay, application is deployed. Let me quickly generate the token. Okay, it was saying authorization initialize. You are authorized. Token has been generated. Now let wait. that Google now second flow will automatically get executed. Okay, second flow is executed. So let me check if any record, anything has been processed. Okay, okay, let me do one thing. Let me check if any record. There is a no record. Okay, let me insert one record. Wait, what is the problem? Okay, we have to provide one more column. I have some, I will say email. Okay, now we will wait for 30 seconds and we need to check if anything has been processed now. Let's wait. It will take 30 seconds because we have set the 30 seconds time polling interval. Okay, something has been happened now. See, one record loaded. Okay, so you can see successful one record. Also, I want to see. Okay, that's fine. So you can see like one record has been loaded. Now I will try to fetch. So for that, what I will do, I will use Postman. So not Postman. Let me use same. I can use Postman. Fine. Let me use the Postman. I will say fetch. I will use get. I will send a request. So let's wait. We got lot of records. Now let me copy that record into some notepad. I will search for one of the record which I have inserted. So let me search. Go to home. See, you can see this record. Jitendra, internet and label. See, we have sent this detail, right? And also we can see the name, everything. Okay. See, this has been synchronized. Now I will going to synchronize other also. I will say, let me find if I find this record in this message or not. We will cross verify and then we will send. Let me go to home. No, this record is not present. Okay, let me close this file. No need of this file. And let me press. Okay, let's wait. Now it will take 30 seconds for synchro. It's already synchronized. So I will send the get request again. Okay, we got record. So let me press a control F here itself. I will say, okay, we got the record. See, you can see jk at integration.com. Okay, so you see in this, okay, in this demo, we have seen a lot of things like object store, authorization to, SaaS, how to synchronize with SaaS application. Again, we have seen like ETL, batch processing, and everything in this demo. So if you like my demo, just subscribe to it. Thanks for watching video. Hope you have enjoyed.